Oh, it's a rainy afternoon sadhana time. Welcome everybody. You've seen Maggie's right here with me. Come here, come and say hi to people. Come up. Oh, you're getting on your back? Well, you're my trusted companion, my sweet baby. Hope you've enjoyed the first two. Today's January 3rd. Time for the third sadhana. Have you followed through on your New Year's resolutions or goals? Remember, this life is a video game, and every day you have the choice to level up, take it to the next level, accomplish your tasks of the day, or drop the ball and let this difficult, pain-filled life beat you down. I choose to experience the pain and hard work and suffering, even though my life is pretty privileged as hell, but we all go through shit, and just being on this planet is inherently soaking in a certain amount of suffering, especially when you're conscious of what's going on. And I like to stay quite conscious, read, watch, listen, etc. Let's start with breath work. We got to. Take your right hand, middle and index finger right here on the forehead or third eye. Thumb blocks the right nostril, ring finger blocks the left. We're gonna block with the thumb. Inhale through the left for 5 seconds. Hold, both closed. Out the right, mouth closed. In through the right. Close both. Out the left. In through the left. Hold both. Exhale right. Put your hand down. Then we're going to do forceful inhales through the nose, followed by a little exhale out the mouth. Just continue along with me. Hold your breath for as long as you can. Exhale, inhale, hold, that feels good, doesn't it? Oh my God. I'm in a total other dimension now. How lovely. Let me grab my notes real quick. And first off, I want to inspire us all to release our resentments. Sometimes you get angry or frustrated at someone you don't really care about who's not a part of your tribe, like someone at the restaurant or the gas station or whatever. Forget about that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you get in a little emotional or argument or kerfuffle with someone you love, someone you respect, someone who's in your tribe. And sometimes you really think you're right in whatever this argument or difference or fight is. And the other person also thinks that they're right. And what do we do in these situations? If there's not an answer of who's right or wrong, it's just resentments towards each other for whatever reason. I feel like being in quarantine, people experience that a lot because you're so intimately connected with and on top of these people that you love, whoever you're living with, members of your tribe. And what I like to do in those situations is remind myself that if this person who I'm in a thing with, I love and respect them so much that out of all the humans I know, they're a part of my deep connected tribe. You only want people to be a part of your tribe that you respect and value what they think and stuff like that. So why not try, even if you think you're super right, why not try to completely let go and surrender of whatever you want out of the situation or however you want them to change or their attitude or whatever, and just respect their decision fully because you respect them as a person. And in the same way that you think you're right about whatever you think you're right about, they think that on their side. And if you've deemed them a member of your tribe that you love so much, you gotta respect that maybe they're just as right as you are right. And no one's more right or wrong. Maggie, get off Natalia's yoga mat. Getting it all dirty like that. That's not cool, man. Fights or arguments, disagreements cannot always be won. I feel like we need to practice radical acceptance and surrendering more and just move forward in a positive way. Because life is inherently you living in your own brain, thinking everything you believe and do is the best choice. And then if you're gonna let yourself get frustrated or sad or angry or get in a bad mood based on how other people do things, especially ones that you love, why not literally at least try to just completely let it go, see them for their best self, definitely talk through the argument. Like, I'm all about communication. Don't ever just let something go and try to push it under the rug. That's not what I'm saying at all. You should communicate through everything you can possibly communicate through and hopefully get to a place of peace with the people that you love. But when that communication still doesn't fully work and there's still tension and anger and resentments, why not try to radically accept and say, you know what, let's just see what happens if we literally forget about this. We've communicated through our intentions and our feelings and our beliefs. Now let's live, even if we're not on the same page, you know you love each other, so let's just try to see what we're grateful for and continue through life. And oftentimes within an hour or a day, you literally are fully enjoying life with this person and you're not even thinking about the silly argument or disagreement that you have, which is usually petty and not even a big deal. So I feel like I grew up in a culture, especially the men in my culture, you gotta stick up for yourself, and if someone does something you don't like, you prove that they're wrong and hold resentments, and this person, I don't like this person anymore. But that just creates anger and heaviness and weight in life that I think is totally, you can do that if you want, it's just not serving you at all. It feels so good to radically accept and honor that however someone feels, they're feeling it for a reason, and just try to love them for the things you love them for, and like literally start enjoying life and be radically appreciative of what you have, and then you're just flowing and vibing and enjoying life. That's my philosophical piece today. Next, thought it'd be interesting to talk about, well, I should answer questions from yesterday's. I got 2 questions, I think. First is from Rudy. What's up, Rudy Gold? He asks, how did you become so spiritual and vegan? Like, what was in your childhood that made you want to live this lifestyle? Very interesting question. Almost nothing that I had growing up led me to be where I am now, other than my parents accepting my blueprint and who I was, which was totally different than who they were, and my grandparents and my uncles and my cousins and even my brothers. I was the total black sheep, hippie, nature, weirdo, kind of button pusher, radical son in a family that really loves kind of the LA lifestyle. And what my parents did was I grew up in such a privileged way that they always gave me love, honored who I was, and they facilitated my interest in the things that I wanted to explore, even though it was not the things that they naturally provided for me. I grew up watching movies. My dad gave me a video camera very early on when there were still cassette tapes. You could say that influenced why I'm a YouTuber and like to storytell in front of the camera. But I always wanted, literally since I was little, go on bike rides to the beach and hang out with animals and chase lizards. And my parents had never been camping a day in their life. I grew up eating at restaurants. We didn't even cook food at my house. We had packaged frozen food in the freezer. And every night my dad would come home from work, pick up food in styrofoam packages from like pretty nice restaurants around LA, and we'd sit together as a family around the table eating salty, oily restaurant food. So I grew up not connected to growing food, not connected to nature in the middle of Los Angeles, not doing yoga at all. My parents are very material world, lovely people, but traditional, not very comfortable talking about out of the box, spiritual, weird topics. And I turned out who I was. I don't know, it was implanted in me, and they allowed me to experience stuff. So when I was in high school, I found out about like an abroad program, but within the US in the mountains of Colorado, called the High Mountain Institute, where you could leave your junior year of high school and for a semester go get your academic credits, but go backpacking at this like awesome program, this school that anyone can apply to, the High Mountain Institute. And you go backpacking with your young teachers while you still get your academic credits, and it completely changed my life. I found myself from LA knowing that I just didn't like it and resenting it. And I said, you know what, I've never been camping, but I want to so bad. I'm gonna go do this program. And they taught us outdoor leadership, wilderness, guiding stuff, and they taught us about sustainability. We did a field trip to a Earthship off-grid sustainable living home in Colorado, and I got completely indoctrinated with nature and sustainability and small town rural life, which was totally different than what I grew up with. And from that moment on, I realized, okay, I love my parents and family for the love they give me and the opportunities and help that they give me in life, but I have to find other mentors in terms of like how I'm gonna live my life, because they just don't have the experiences for what I want. So then I started woofing. Woof is a program, is an app where you get linked up with organic farms. And so I woofed and lived with families growing organic food in small towns in different areas. And I got on my bicycle and just biked into the abyss of Central America and Asia, living with people that live such different lives than I grew up with. And it was really just the series of experiences that I was privileged enough to have that led me to finding veganism. and yoga. Well, honestly, my mom actually, she would do kind of LA power yoga. And when I biked across America when I was 18 and 19, I turned 19 on the trip. When I got back home after like a 90-day bike ride across America, she said, you got to go to yoga. Your legs are probably so tight. And I'm like, yoga's for moms, because I just grew up, my mom and her friends would go to LA yoga. I went to a class. They taught a little meditation. I saw some dudes doing handstands. I said, this is pretty cool. And the rest was history. I took more spiritual classes, got my teacher training. So really life for me has just been my parents allowing me to experience things from a young age, and then me authentically finding the things I didn't like academic stuff. I had an internship one summer with an environmental organization in New York City. I realized even fighting for the environment, but having to do it within a frickin' office in New York, didn't like that. I didn't like Jewish or religious stuff I grew up with. I didn't like the Hollywood industry that I grew up with, but they let me go camping and go woof and do all this stuff and go to yoga class. And I'm so grateful that they're not those kind of parents that were just like, you have to do this or else you're gonna fail in life. They were like, no, you go out and find what you need to do to make you happy. And I put them through so much shit, like not purposefully, but just through my lifestyle. Like when I got lost in the canyons of Utah in 2014 and had to get emergency rescued by the Forest Service because I got caught in a snowstorm and was stuck outside in a tent in 2 feet of snow for 4 days. And imagine the fear they had when I was biking around Central America with Maggie. You know, I put them through a lot, but they've let me spread my wings, and I'm so grateful for that because I'm so happy to find the things that I found in life that just serve me. So I'm just someone that goes out, takes risks. I start doing things that I have no experience doing, and then I figure out if I like them or not. And for the last 8 years, stuff like yoga, meditation, permaculture, trail running, cycling, nature, those are the things that I enjoy most. Are both your parents Jewish? Yes, they are. I grew up Jewish. We went to temple. I went to Jewish summer camp. I got bar mitzvahed. I could read Hebrew. We weren't Orthodox Jews, though. We were the most chill, reformed LA Jews, but Judaism it's really a part of the culture. It was a huge part of my culture growing up. All my family, a lot of my friends, a lot of what we did growing up was kind of reformed Jewish vibes, which is different than Gentile or Christian, or, you know, each religion has their own culture of how they live. And, you know, if you've seen Woody Allen movies, kind of the stereotypical overprotective, anxious, very funny, kind of mom type vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but it brings warm feelings into my heart to think about the Jewish culture I grew up with. But things like reading the Torah and chanting in funny, silly ways and wearing a kippah and going to temple, fuck that shit. Do you ever miss living in LA? No. I really don't. Like, this serves me so much more. Like out here in my little town, if you want to go get something, ear pods or I don't know, anything. It's hard to go get anything because you have to go take a drive into the city or whatever, but all the things that I love most, organic food, herbs, hiking trails, nature, waterfalls, all of that is right here in my local area. When I was living in LA, to get that stuff, you got to go take a far trip. But if I wanted ear pods or a freaking new camera or whatever, I could do that quickly from our house in LA. It's just nature and health is what interests me, and those are the things I can get around here. What else? I think that's good for today. Last thing I'll do is, it's such a crazy time in politics. I'm just making sure that the camera's still rolling. It's such a crazy time with politics, and I care about that stuff because I care about people and the environment, and that's how you change stuff, is depending on who's leading in administrations who make those decisions. And right now is a point of transition, of course, with Biden and Kamala coming in after Trump's monstrosity of a presidency. And it's really crazy that Trump has like a week or a week and a half left in office. And I think tomorrow or sometime this coming week, the Senate has to officially elect Biden as the president-elect to kind of honor the votes that their public, that their people in their states voted for. And of course we know Biden won, but these whack job, crazy, corrupt, right-wing conservative senators like Ted Cruz and a few others, they are championing a campaign of 11 senators now, which is not a majority, so they're not going to win, who have signed off to not vote in Biden because they say there's still a possibility to find out that there was enough voter fraud in the election to falsify the election and to redo it, do an audit of the votes. Even though Trump took the last month, if you don't know, Trump has had federal court cases or state court cases, and it even went to the Supreme Court trying to convince the states that he didn't win in, that there was voter fraud and they have to redo the counting. And they didn't provide any evidence, and they lost every single court case. And even after that, these senators are so corrupt and they don't trust our system of government that they're supposed to be honoring and facilitating and making better. And they're trying to not listen to that for their own personal greed and to say this election was not real, full of fraud, and try to not accept Biden as the new president. So there are tons of Republicans within the Senate are saying, you guys are so dumb and ridiculous. Why are you doing this? You're making a mockery of our democracy. So there's not going to be enough senators to support these crazy conspiracy theorists, but it's crazy that it's happening, and we'll see what happens. You never know. Senators can change in the moment, but odds are Biden will be sworn in pretty soon. I'm not a fan of him. He's an establishment corporate hack that doesn't really care about the environment or care about getting Medicare and for underprivileged and poor people like every other developed nation, free healthcare. He doesn't care about that. He only cares about hating Trump, getting his buddies back in jobs, his establishment buddies, and most importantly, what he cares about, and the most corrupt part, is simply making the corporations and pharmaceutical industry people that gave him the money for his campaign to pay them back with lower taxes and not making big real change that is going to benefit the environment or average American person. He just cares, just like every other politician, Biden, about giving back to his corporate donors. So he's no angel, but he is an angel next to Trump, because Trump's the swamp monster. And if you don't understand that, and if you think that I hate Trump just because I watch CNN and I don't actually have reasons to hate him, I just listen to the media, that's so not true. I don't watch any mainstream news. I watch independent media on the right and the left. Democracy Now!, Young Turks, Jimmy Dore Show, David Pakman, those are the progressive ones. And then I watch Dave Rubin and Tim Pool and freaking Ben Shapiro, and I watch the independent right-wing people too, because I'm not dumb. If you live in your little echo chamber of media, you're never going to know the truth. So I watch everything and make my decision based on watching the actions and policies of certain politicians and listening to the commentary on the right and the left and the center, and that's what I base my decision off. And Trump is a disgusting, greedy, stupid swamp monster. Biden sucks as well. Progressives all the way. I wish Bernie or Elizabeth Warren or even Tulsi Gabbard was coming into office, but It's hard to beat the corrupt, to beat the man, to beat the established, but we're getting closer every year. Hope you enjoyed this video. We went from breath work to answering questions, Los Angeles to politics. Please comment down below if you like these videos, some questions for the next one. I really love answering your guys' questions. Comment down below if you disagree with anything I said. Please support me on Patreon. I recorded a podcast today, about 40 minutes, which I'm posting exclusively to Patreon. If you pledge $2 or more per month, you get the podcast, the Plantreon podcast. And I also record my morning yoga flows pretty often, so you can do yoga classes with me and listen to the podcast and support our farm and what we're doing here by going to the Plantriotic Patreon. Much love, Dream Extreme. Subscribe too if you haven't already. Just hit that button. It helps. Makes me feel good that you guys care. So much love, Dream Extreme.